Um, so I'm really concerned about I need to get those pixels up on the website from both AdRoll and Steelhouse, so that's rolling.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find somebody to do that.
Yeah, you might want to go on to like one of the outsource
Yeah, I'm looking on
sites.
Fiverr. I found somebody on Fiverr that looks
Okay.
like they can actually do the work. They've got something that looks professional. Um,
Yeah.
and I would just like to find somebody I can keep going back to. This. Um, I don't like one-off kinds of things. I want to know
Yeah.
I've got somebody to depend on.
Yeah, you know what you might try too? There's a site called onlinejobs.ph, and that's
Okay.
for Filipino workers.
Yeah.
And you might see if you can find somebody in there that has good English speaking and writing skills that knows Volusion. And
Yeah, pollution's always kind of a problem, right? I mean, if I changed, honestly, I have to say
yeah,
that.
not necessarily. I mean, there's all kinds of people on there that have all kinds of different skill levels. And, you could probably hire somebody on there as a full-time person, even if you didn't need them full-time,
Yeah.
for, $400 to $600 a month.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I need, is somebody that that I absolutely know is there and that can do the work.
Yeah,
So, because when I need it, it's usually I need it.
sure.
Not like when you get around to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole problem with a lot of these other people. When you go to them for one-off jobs, they might work out great that one time, but then when you need them again in a couple of days, they might be busy with something else.
Yes. Yeah. I need to be on somebody's priority list for sure.
Yeah, yeah, you really need, probably like an in-house tech person, and like I said, I've had a lot of luck in the past with pulling people out of the Philippines. In that online jobs PH, I had a specific system that I would use to hire people in there.
Uh-huh.
And what I would do is I would go through, and there's all kinds of different criteria that you can sift and sort by. And I would go in there and look for the exact thing I was looking for. Like if it was Volusion, if you wanted somebody that was familiar with Volusion, go in there and look specifically, run a search on that, and get all the prospects. And then what I would do, I would send an email out. I would make a list of all the ones that I was interested in,
Uh-huh.
and I would send an email invitation out to all of them.
Okay.
It would go individually. They wouldn't know that they were getting
Sure.
sent with a bunch, but it would go something like this. It would be an invite to a job opportunity.
Okay.
That's what they're all on there for. It's a job board for the Philippines.
Right.
And you could say, we're taking applicants for a position that we're opening up, and here's the criteria. You have to be able to do this, 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 and this, whatever it may be. And then I would send that out, and I would see who would respond within 24 hours.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, they're on a different time schedule. They're 13 hours ahead in the
Yes.
Philippines.
Yes.
So it's really easy to figure out what time it is. It's whatever time it is here, just add an hour and then change it from AM to PM or PM to AM.
Yeah.
So it's easy to convert the time just in your head real easily. But anyway, I would look for the ones that would respond back within 24 hours, because I don't want people that are going to, be checking their email once a week. That's the first criteria right out of the gate.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
and the ones that respond back within the first 24 hours, I would send them a form that I made.
Uh-huh.
And basically, I just put down a bunch of different things that were important to me that they would have that skill. And I would say, I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 5.
Okay.
A one being you're completely unfamiliar with it, and a 5 being that you could teach me a thing or two about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would make them rate themselves on that. And again, I'm looking for what's the time frame for them to get that back to me.
Right.
If they get it back in a week, they're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things I would put on there is I want them to score themselves on their English writing skills and their English speaking skills. Now, if they get it back to me right away and they say I'm a 5 in English speaking, then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get them on a conference like this where I can see them and I can talk to them.
Okay.
And if they can't talk to me that I can understand them, then obviously they failed and they lied.
How about that? Yes.
And I'm not hiring somebody that's going to lie to me right out of the gate.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the first thing. If they tell me that they're a 5, maybe they say they're a 3 in English speaking, okay, I could probably deal with that on most occasions. But if they tell me they're a 4 or 5 in English writing, then I send them back and I say, well, can you send me 2 paragraphs on why you think you would be good for this job?
That's a good idea.
And then I look at their writing style, their writing skill. You know, obviously that's going to tell me right out of the gate if they lied there or not.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for honesty.
Yeah, I think
Honesty.
that's a great idea. I did find somebody on Fiverr that I finally, people that looked like they were really professional rather than this is pretty good,
Yeah, yeah.
So but it's the same thing, I'd like to see the work that they do before I
Mhm.
hire them. One of the things that I'm wondering about is since they're putting my website up, I guess I need to make sure that I proof every single page and every single word, because if they aren't fluent in English, who knows what somebody's going to pop up there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and that's another thing too, is you're not hiring them as writers.
Yes,
You're
but
always
they made a
creating
mistake and they
content
didn't
for.
notice it. That's just the thing. I'll create the content,
Yeah,
but I'm concerned about. I just feel like somebody, when they put it up there, even if it's just a copy and paste, if I've seen people that oh well, it's just a period or it's just a comma or whatever, and the whole thing doesn't read right, because they didn't think it was important,
mm,
so
yes, yeah. So, a lot of times with somebody of that caliber, you're not really hiring them for that skill set.
right.
So you might want to have someone else proof stuff before it's given to them to even post on the site.
Okay.
So it's, I know in an ideal world, yeah, we would expect everyone to read it, proof it, and but they don't.
Well, I'm just concerned. I mean, you give them the final copy, and if it doesn't end up looking like your final copy, that it's just time consuming. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're giving them stuff, they're really just copying and pasting it in.
Right.
So there shouldn't really be any changes to it unless you've made them and supplied those changes.
Well, I'm going to start with, I want those pixels up, right?
Okay.
That,
Yeah,
that,
and yeah,
that, that is so important to get those. And I'm just, it really worries me that I'm this far down the road and the pixels aren't even up.
yeah, and that's for anybody that's a web developer and is going to be familiar with that, they're going to be able to log in there and just do that in like seconds. That really shouldn't be a big thing for them. But
So when they say they need to be on every single page, there's not a fast way to do that, right? They have to go through and do a page at a time. So I like every product and stuff, or
no, they should be able to put that in a global header or footer, and it should one shot and it'll be on everything.
oh, okay,
That's what I mean. That's such a simple, small project for somebody that is familiar with the software.
okay,
Um, anybody that's familiar with whatever development software they're using, like if it was in WordPress, there's just a plugin for global header and footer.
okay,
You can go in there, you plug it in, and it shows up on every page.
gotcha. Okay, so
any
you don't have to worry about that. Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, the only time you would have to really worry about that is if you were doing something where, let's say you hand coded your own site and every page was, custom done and
Right.
HTML. and they were all independent, and there was nothing that controlled all of them, then, in that case, you might have to go in and change every one.
Yeah. Yeah. I look forward to that one.
But
I'm not.
there's not a lot of those types of sites around anymore.
Okay. All right. Well,
Uh,
so then that, between that and then uploading my database, all right, those two things are like on the top of the list,
yeah.
just so that we can get started.
And I would also think on the top of your list is going to be able to communicate with your database, like emailing.
That, well, Carissa had said that's an easy thing to do. We can just do that. But I mean, we're weeks down the road and it's still not done,
Yeah. And again, that's a case of somebody that's not on payroll, somebody that's doing stuff, possibly as favors or trades or whatever. And they've got all kinds of other stuff to do. So
well,
that's the big.
I mean, I'm willing to pay to have it done, and it's like, how fast can we get it done? But it's still not done. So, but you're absolutely right. That would be awesome to have somebody that you just have a payroll, and then they do the stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
because then you will find you'll get so much more stuff done if you can just throw it at them and trust them to do it, and see that it's getting done.
Right.
That's that's a key component. If you're in any kind of tech business and you're not really tech savvy and you need stuff done, you need somebody that understands your systems and somebody that's there for you. And that's the cool part about the Philippines is they are operating under different financial circumstances than we are. I've
had somebody in the Philippines before.
Uh-huh.
And I have to say, you don't always get what you think you're getting. So, but I'm absolutely open to it.
That is so true, and that's why I hired the way I hired.
Yes. Because
I found there's a lot of shady characters there too.
Sure.
There's a lot of them that are, like you said, they're not what you didn't get what you expected or you paid for.
Yeah, for sure.
And I found that one of the biggest things, if you get one that is honest and you take care of them, they'll be very loyal for a very long time.
Well, I would like that. I mean, I paid this one guy for years, but it still wasn't what I wanted. So you're absolutely right. I need to find the optimal person.
Yeah, you've got to get somebody that's got the skill sets that you need, and you got to make sure that it's somebody that's trustworthy, honest, and and that's why I did the hiring procedure the way I did it.
Right. Okay.
Every time I followed that procedure, I got a good one.
Okay.
Every time I short-stepped it, I got a lesson.
I can relate. Okay. Well, so that's the top of my priority list.
Yeah, so I would give that a shot. Just make a simple Word document that just has all the stuff. Like if there's anything that you want to know if they can do, like it would be a big benefit to you if they knew Photoshop, if they could do some graphics, some light graphics work for you.
Oh, yeah.
Just put all that stuff down and let them score themselves. And then you can look and, you might get 10 different applications. And I've had that a lot, when I was hiring for my SEO team, I came across, I created different job positions. And when I was hiring, I was pretty much going generic, and then I was letting them fill out the form telling me what they could do. And then I would put them into the right job position. But in a lot of cases, when I was doing that, I was finding 2, 3, or even 4 people that were perfect for a particular job. And when I would hire them, I would always hire them on a temporary basis first.
Right.
I would say, this job is for 30 days. It's almost like an internship. And if you do good, there's an opportunity for you to have a long-term position.
Yes.
And in a lot of cases, I would hire, 2 or 3, and I would keep them all in most cases.
Right.
Because they were, they wound up being so good that I didn't want to let them go.
Sure.
So that's really kind of a cool thing. And price wise, like I said, they'll have what they're looking for on the online jobs site. They'll say, if they want part-time or full-time, if it's a 40-hour a week thing they're looking for, and then they'll put on there what they're looking for as a monthly salary.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's in what's called PHP, which is their Filipino currency.
Right.
And you can just go to Google and convert it, and usually you'll find it's about $400 to $600 a month.
Okay.
In our dollars.
Okay.
So to be able to have a full-time person for $400 to $600 a month, that's
Oh my goodness, that would be awesome, wouldn't
it? That's pretty much the deal of a century.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, fingers crossed.
The other thing I would do too, in that first month that I had them on, I would make sure that I had plenty of busy work to do for them, so I knew exactly how much they could accomplish in a day, and I would make note of that.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I would give them tasks like, I need 3 500-word articles as quickly as you can get those back to me. And then I would know if they got them back in 2 hours, I know, hey, this person can knock out 3 of these articles in 2 hours.
Right.
So, 3 months down the line, when I ask them to do that, it takes 2 days, I know I've got an issue.
Yeah, for sure, huh?
So you want to document what they can do and how long it takes them to do all those processes in the beginning. And if they start to slip and slide, you're probably being taken advantage of. They're probably taking on other jobs, and you're not their priority. And that's the time to cut them loose.
Yes.
Or have a conversation and say, hey, you're working. Are you working for me full time, as this contract states? And if so, why was it that you could do this in the beginning, but now you can't do it? What's happened?
Yes.
A lot of times you'll find that they've farmed stuff out. So
yes.
So that's something that you might have to deal with.
Okay.
Hold on just a second here.
Mary Sue?
Hey, Gwen.
If it's any consolation, I've worked with Upwork with just U.S. people, and I've had some of the same problems.
I have too. I actually found we worked for somebody in the U.S. that years and years later found that he had put some kind of a little tracking thing on our site and was using us as, we fired him, by the way, before, because he was so bad, but we didn't know that the thing was on the site, and us as a reference by doing that, saying that he had done work.
Oh, wow.
So I've been through it one way or the other, in all kinds of things, but you're right. Just finding somebody that is not only good, but they're responsible.
That's the hard part, is the responsible and the turnaround time. Yeah. I've been stuck with them just not responding, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, there's another thing that you can do to address that issue. Is there's a software, I believe it is called Time Tracker.
Okay.
And what you do is you create an account, and then like you would take your employee and you would invite them to the time tracker, and it's going to send them an invite to install the software on their computer. And once that software is installed, you can see exactly when they're working and what they're doing.
I like that.
Like you can see, how many hours a day they're active on their computer. You can see each application, how often they're active and how long. It'll give you like a pie chart of, hey, they're spending half their day on Facebook.
Right.
Or they're spending half their day in email. And if that's their job, then that's great. But if it's not, then you might want to question, hey, why are you in email so much, or why are you on Facebook half the day? What are you doing there? Are you working for me, or are you playing?
Right. I think that's a great idea.
So that's one of the things that you can do, and it's highly recommended with outsourcers that you run that. And it's not very much. It's fairly inexpensive to run that.
Well, certainly worthwhile. We installed a camera in our warehouse office.
Yeah, I remember when you did that.
Yeah.
That answered a lot of questions, didn't it?
It's very instructive. How about that? My goodness.
Yeah, and once they know it too, they're much more compliant.
Well, I just want somebody that I don't have to worry, that I don't have to worry about. Somebody that actually knows and gets the job done. Is that pie in the sky?
No, it's not. It's not pie in the sky. They're out there. You just, sometimes it's not an easy thing to find them, but they're out there. You can find them.
I'm going to keep looking because I'll love it when they turn up. So.
All right. So anything else going on with anybody?
Is anybody else doing Steelhouse?
I know quite a few people from our mastermind got set up with it. I don't know if anybody is like active yet on it, but I know quite a few people have got the pixels in and starting to collect the data.
John, how does that work when I know I would be a different pixel? I actually emailed Neville, but haven't heard back from him, so I'm thinking he might have missed my email or something. But I'm using my Vision Interface email as the contact for a client using it. So I didn't want to just go in and set it up and have the same email. So I wanted to see about switching that out and figure out what my best practices is for that before I just set it up. Would that be something to pursue with contacting Neville again, or?
Yeah, you probably want to find out how intertwined your email is in the account.
Yeah.
Now, I know with AdRoll, you can actually create like an agency login.
That would make sense.
And then you can set up different clients under that one agency control panel. Steelhouse, I don't think you can do that. I think it's individual accounts.
Okay, yeah, because I gave him my Vision Interface account because I wanted to see notices coming in.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
Well, all you have to do, you can set up in your cPanel control panel.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do, you don't need a new email address. You don't need a mailbox set up. But what you can do, you can go in there and you can create a forwarder account.
Okay, so I could use like the Google account that we already have set up for analytics and whatnot and just forward that over?
Well, no, in cPanel, what you could do is you could create a new address on your visioninterface.com.
Oh, okay.
So you could just create Steelhouse at visioninterface.com, or PDP at Steelhouse, or or whatever you want to do, and then just forward that to your Gwen email address.
Okay.
That way you would still get the emails. They would come into the same email box, but they would be attached to a different email account.
That would make sense. Okay. I will.
Doesn't necessarily exist. It's not a real email address. Well, it's a real email address, but it's not an email account.
Right. It's just forwarding to the other account.
Yeah, so we
But
do
that
that.
would keep it straight in their system.
Yeah, we do that for the reporting. That's why we've got that that reporting address, and then everything forwards. All of that just forwards to another address.
Okay. That makes sense. I'll pursue checking in with Neville on that and see if I can switch that, because that's the other thing it said is when I went to see about switching that email address, that they wouldn't let you do it. You had to talk to your account manager.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I need to talk to Neville and Sells or talk to Ariel, I think is our account manager.
Is it Ariel or Tori?
Ariel has been my contact.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think Tori is handling a lot of the smaller accounts.
Ah, okay.
So she might get assigned to your Vision Interface account.
Okay.
So, or they might stick you with the same one. That's not sure. They have a bunch of account reps. So.
Yeah, well, Vision Interface isn't doing much at the moment until I can get that outsourced website figured out.
Well, you might be in the same boat there as Mary Sue. You might need an outsourcer.
Well, I've got one, and I'm kind of gave him one last chance, and he's responded back saying, "I'm tight, but let me look at it." And if I don't hear from him by middle of next week with something, I am gonna go searching for somebody else.
Yeah, I am still I am paralyzed in my site as well, because I'm so used to Fusion. I've almost considered converting it into WordPress, but
I've toyed with the idea, but
I'm not opposed at all to WordPress anymore for the reasons that I once was.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that WordPress was going to be an issue with Google. I thought they were going to just go through and just wipe them all out. And that didn't happen because they came out with RankBrain, and they don't need to do that anymore. They eliminated the threat without killing the WordPress sites. So I don't have that issue anymore. But now my new issue is just the whole learning curve with, learning how to, because you've got to manipulate code inside WordPress, or you're not going to get anywhere as far as, being able to really manipulate things the way you want them.
Right. I've got one web guy that's actually the one that designed the app for the car that does WordPress, and he sends his out to another local guy that he says scrubs the code.
Yeah.
And basically can take it all out to straight HTML.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Roger Bryan, who's been a long-term member, of our community. He actually did that test when I was talking about that originally, and this goes many years back. And he scrubbed the content in his WordPress site.
Mm-hmm.
And when he did that, within 24 hours, he got a huge bump on SEO.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I believe it.
And I don't know if it was because of the code itself, or it was because of the speed that it increased the site. But that's one thing. If any of you guys are on WordPress, WordPress is a resource hog. It's not optimized code. It beats the crap out of servers as far as resources, and it's just not optimal the way it runs. So on a regular server, if you're just on a regular shared server, they've got a bunch of different types of hosting accounts going on those servers. So the problem with WordPress is all those servers that are running those multiple different sites, they have to optimize them down the middle. So there's tweaks to to the Apache server. There's tweaks to the PHP files. There's tweaks to all of those that they have to kind of do these middle of the road things on shared servers. So if you've got WordPress on one of those types of servers, it's going to run like a snail. They're going to be very slow to respond to web requests. And what that will do is that sends that signal back to Google that you've got a slow site and it's not optimal for user experience. Especially for mobile sites, for mobile devices, they've got bandwidth issues. they might be on slow Wi-Fi. So if the site doesn't load fast, that's a big problem. That's a user interface problem. So what we did was we recently have put a server in place that is specifically just for WordPress. It's totally optimized for WordPress. We don't put any other types of sites on it, because if we did, they wouldn't run right because of the tweaks and stuff that we've got on these servers to be optimal performance just for WordPress. And I've moved probably 6 clients over to them, and they noticed a huge performance, increase once we moved them over to these sites. So we've got that. If any of you are on WordPress and want a better hosting solution for that, let me know. I can get you fixed up with that. So I have been toying with that idea of potentially converting my site into WordPress, or my hope is that NetObjects will get their act together, and that's the program that I use. I've used that site or that program for 2.5 decades now to build sites, and I know it like the back of my hand. So that's my hopes that that will come through. And if not, I don't know. Gwen knows I've looked at the Adobe Muse software, which is very similar. It's just I don't have the time or desire to go through another learning curve with a new software. So I think if that's the case, I am probably just going to outsource it and just have it done, have it updated, and have them hand me a platform I can move forward with. So, all right. Anything else? What else? Anything else we need to cover? And the last call, the Dominator call, we had a lot of ACT questions on there. That was a really good call. If you guys missed it, you might want to tune in and check that out. Great content. All of these calls really have been good content. So I do want to thank you guys for contributing and asking the questions so we can get the info out there. But it sounds like it's manpower issues for the most part at this point. And like I said, the online jobs, if you need a tech person to get in there and do your tech, that might be something to look at. So, all right, anything else before we wrap up for today?
How's Barb's foot, John?
It actually is doing better. She's been using my my light unit. I think she's doing that, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a night, I know, and I think she does it a couple times in the day. But she's so stubborn as to not stay off it. I told her, I go, you might want to stay off it and give it a chance to heal.
3 or 4 miles a day she's chugging out there.
Yeah, it's like why don't you give that thing a break and maybe it'll heal up on its own.
What did she do?
I don't know. She doesn't know. Something with her foot or ankle, and she goes out. She walks the dogs 2 or 3 times a day. She walks with her friends on the beach, and I'm like, if you got a hurt ankle, you might want to give it a break. So, but she keeps plugging away. So I guess it doesn't hurt that bad, right?
Well, if she can walk on it, it might be, she's probably doing more walking than you would think, than would be advisable maybe for something like that. But walking some is probably not a bad idea because it keeps it, flexible and stuff. Yeah. 3 or 4 miles a day, that is really chugging.
Yeah, that's beyond usual and customary, I think, for.
Yeah, for sure. I'm proud of her for doing it, but under the circumstances, Maybe dial it back just a speck, right?
Yeah.
Or at least wrap it.
I know. I had a similar thing here a couple of years ago, and well, I tell you, I just stayed off it.
That's it, John. Put Barb on the phone. We'll straighten this out right now.
There you go. Get her under control.
Yeah.
We'll have to strap her down to the seat.
Yeah, she won't listen to you, but she'll listen to us.
Oh, hey, there's a lot of truth to that statement. Oh, I think that's with anything. We've got different nieces and nephews, and depending on who gives them the message is whether they hear it or not. So, all right. Well, I am pretty excited. I leave tomorrow morning for my favorite thing of the year other than 4th of July. It's 4th of July in February. That's the big President's Day weekend fireworks show. So
Awesome.
yeah, out in Lake Havasu. So I am heading out early in the morning for that. And I'm going to get 3 nights of spectacular fireworks in before I return Monday morning.
Fantastic.
So I will be all exploded and rejuvenated by next week.
Bon
Awesome.
voyage. Bon voyage, John. Have a great trip.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be pretty awesome. The fireworks out there at the show, it's directly related to the economy, believe it or not. The size of the show is directly related to the economy. And the reason is they have all the manufacturers that sponsor it. Well, if the economy is great, the money is flowing, and the show is like unbelievable. So I've heard that there was almost $2 million worth of sponsorship for this year.
Wow.
So that's a lot of fireworks.
Fireworks. My goodness.
Yeah. So
Economy booming like that there. That's a lot.
yeah. Well, it's national. These manufacturers are all over the country. So when things are good, they tend to blow things up in celebration.
Good job.
So, all right. Well, I guess we will wrap up unless there's anything last minute you guys want to address and any other concerns. All right. Well, we will go ahead and wrap her up for this week. If you guys run into anything, let me know, and I'll be happy to help.
Thanks so much, John.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Gracie. We'll see you guys next week.
All
Thanks,
right.
John. Bye-bye.
Yeah.